because letting go, really important, bud, because a lot of us, uh, we get to that position where we think, okay, enough's enough, or I think I just want to change my lifestyle, or I'm bored doing this, I want to do that. And so we start to let go of stuff. The drastic ones, of course, divorce or change of career, and those things that happen. When we get to that point, that particular point of letting go, it's okay to take a few weeks to sort of readjust. But some people take months and years. Some people are always letting go, and they say things like, "It's better than it used to be," or I'm only snorting 3 lines of coke now. It's not 12 lines, and it's always, and yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And there's a point really where I have to push people to say, okay, I don't want to even discuss it anymore, because if it isn't you, then let go of this process of letting go. It's gone. It's gone. And then all of a sudden it's like, right. So even when those violent situations that come up, that 9 times out of 10, they're all in our head of looking at the worst case scenario. 9 times out of 10, they just turn out to be nothing. But it's like when you're in this authentic mindset, you say, actually, I just want to have fun. I want to be gentle. I want to be nice. And in fact, and the question that I'd ask you is, so not even the question to ask you really, because it puts you on the spot a little bit, but perhaps what you need to do is to look at and start to write down, how do you describe yourself? And then start to really, I think when we were talking before, I was talking to you about the morning mantra. And again, if anybody is watching and you want to go onto the website and read the morning mantra, but it is this, it's really good for you. But, having a mantra in your head that actually starts off with, that says, I am that I am. And again, Wayne Dyer, one of my amazing teachers, I think it is religiously based, if I'm being honest with you, but it's okay. But I am that I am. And what you have to do is you write it down and say, I am, and you put a comma, and then you write down what you are. I am kind. I am gentle. I am knowledgeable. I am intellectual. I couldn't believe ever that I would ever say that, like, I was intellectual, but of course I am. And the moment we give ourselves permission to describe the people that we really are, then we can really start to have the conversations in our head. Instead of being on the defense of the negative thoughts that we have, we start having positive thoughts. And then we start to look in every situation when somebody's coming to me and confronting me. And I have it most days when I'm doing this work, they're confronting because they have this thing, fear, and they fight, and they, psychologically they fight against it. And really, when you get to the point saying it's okay, because it's not you anymore. And again, it's that sort of, right. And it is the freedom. We talked, and again, there's lots of things that you've said, and they've triggered off a number of different things. I just wanted to tell and use analogies all the time, because I'm not here to tell people what to think or what to say or what to do. That's not my responsibility. That's your responsibility. My responsibility here is to ensure that you are being honest, and you're respecting you. You're trusting in the person that you are. I'm actually now going to be me. This doesn't mean that you've got to divorce the missus. It doesn't mean you've got to give in. This actually means I've just got to be me. And a lot of the time, being me, the indicators for me about being me is I'm happy. It's really simple. Really, really simple. Most people, John, live their life on the far side of complexity, and that's how they manage their life. Far side of complexity. I've got to do this. If I don't go to work, and I've got to get the bills, and I've got to pay this, and the car can't be this, and I've got to take the kids there, and I've got to do this, and before you know it, you're juddling however many balls up here. You haven't even got time to think, because it is all reaction. What Beyond the Mask does, and what, the things that I get people is to live life and manage life on the near side of simplicity. Straightforward, easy stuff. Not hard, not complicated. And so what do we do with that is, before you open your mouth and before stuff comes out, just think to yourself, is this going to hurt somebody in some way? And if it is, don't say it. In regards to what you're doing, if what you're going to do, if this is something that you say, this is going to make me happy, then do it, as long as it's not hurting somebody else. We don't have to be right. We have to be kind. Live your life on the near side of simplicity and actually take yourself serious. Take yourself serious and say, actually, this is my time. And I want to explore this, this life of mine. And again, this is slightly deep, but I think one of the fundamental mistakes that people make is that they think that they are human beings and they have these intermittent spiritual experiences. And you can call the spiritual experiences whatever. You know, they're spooky, where somebody phoned and you knew they were going to phone, or whatever it is. Well, actually, that's not right. What is right is that we're all having this internal energy, and you can call again spirit or whatever, and we are that spirit having this human experience. The one thing that hasn't changed in you, John, from the moment that you were born until the moment you die, is who you really are. That underlining, that sort of foundation of your temperament, of the kind of person that you were intended to be. And of course, we know life difficult, buddy. I lived on an estate that, like, you had two choices, like you said. You're going to become the victim, and I tell you what, becoming the victim, it hurts.
It does.
It hurts, my friend. You know, you get a punch in the face, and that hurts. You know, so to have a reputation, you know, that stopped a lot of that. It wasn't a case of that, like, you know, we were all the best fighters. It was half of it. It was, if somebody thought, I'm going to punch you on the end of your nose, they would think twice about giving me any hassle and any grief.
Well, the thing is that the scumbags out there don't want a fight; they want a victim. And as soon as you portray yourself as, like, you know, basically that, you know, you are the type of person that will stand up for themselves, they lose interest pretty quickly. I know how that one goes. What was I was going to just.
You know, the one thing that, and I'm sorry to butt in there, John. Something that you asked, and I'm trying to keep in my head. You've asked loads of stuff, and there's like, all right, I'll explain that. But then we just move on, and before you know it, I forgot to say it. But we talked a short while ago about what does push us forward. Then, it's any one point what pushes us forward, and the way that I explain this. I'm very lucky. This is where I do all of my work, and this is where I sort of do my one-to-ones on the internet. But I'm quite lucky because I've got a big sky in front of me. And although of recent I'm not seeing many of them, but I used to see planes all the time, aeroplanes going across. There's some form of army base over there somewhere. And you see these aeroplanes, and you know the exhaust stuff that comes out the back. You know, so you see the white line going across the sky. I think it's called the afterburn, but I'm not 100% certain. But if we just talk about that afterburn just for a moment, basically what it is, it's the hot energy that's been burnt within the engines and spat out into the cold atmosphere, and the molecules crystallize and droplets of water form on them. And then you get this cloud formation, which eventually evaporates and disperses. Now, we could go into the, you know, the bits of this afterburn and look at all the molecules, etc., etc., etc. But we don't need to understand one thing, is that afterburn doesn't push the aeroplane forward. What pushes the aeroplane forward is the present moment energy that is created within the engine, which in turn is dictated by the captain at the front pushing the little lever forward. Now, if you bring that, I say under no circumstances does he push it forward. So if we bring that to us as human beings, what pushes us forward? What pushes us forward is our present moment energy. And our present moment energy is created by the way that we think. and the way that we describe ourselves. It's not our past, what's behind us. That's just like the afterburn. It's just what's left behind. That's not pushing us forward. What pushes us forward is that present moment energy. And that present moment energy comes within the way that you describe yourself. And a bit earlier on, I explained to you about, I used to describe myself as thick. And you've described yourself in a couple of things. But when you actually stop and you take yourself serious, and not only taking yourself serious, but sort of investing into you and discovering what is the bloody truth then, because I know that I'm not thick. Now, I ain't sitting here telling you that like I can, go and do this exam or that exam or write you a perfect letter. But I am telling you, I ain't thick. And exactly the same with, when we're working with people, they have lots of these internal descriptions of themselves, and that creates their present moment energy. If you just, as an example, right here, right now, just try and think, and do me a favor, don't use the kids, because that's the easy one, but just try and think of a moment in your life where it was like, wow, amazing. Most people go to the birth of their children, but I'm thinking more about something that you've done that you've gone, yes. Can you think of something?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
What is it?
First time I was ever in the kickboxing ring, and I hit the zone, and I've been lucky enough to hit that sort of state about 15 times in my career, where it's like being in the Matrix. It's completely effortless. It's just like
how did he feel?
Almost like having an out-of-body experience. It was like
an
out-of-body experience. I felt light. It was almost as if I had stepped out of myself and was watching myself. And there was no time delay. I mean, in normal sort of life, there is a fractional time delay, between the sound leaving my voice and hitting your eardrum and resonating, or the light hitting my eye. It's almost like that delay was gone, and I was seeing stuff before it happened. And the sense was just unreal. It was like euphoria. And
wow.
The show I put on was incredible. It was a fight no one expected me to win. I was 18 years old, fighting a much bigger, older, more experienced opponent. And it was an amazing, I mean, not just that, but technically, it was on the next level. And I really sort of, people were coming up to me afterwards going, that was like something out of a movie. That was spectacular. And it was. And that was the intent as well.
And did you sort of carry this with you, because you can reflect on that very, very quickly. Do me a favor, and we only want to keep on this just for a very short period of time. Think of one of the worst times in your life where you've really thought, this is terrible, it's devastating, it's horrible, you're upset, you're crying, it's hurting. Can you think of something?
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me, my friend. There's the two differences. When we are describing ourselves in a very excitable, real way, that's what pushes us forward. And we've got the energy of going, wow, come on, this is great. But the moment we're describing ourselves that isn't us, that's when it becomes a little bit, okay. The way that you think, the way you describe yourself is exactly the biggest issue that we've got. Because I think one of the things that one of our programs, and I know that we discussed it earlier on in the week, which is called Letting the Boy Die and Allowing the Man to Live. And it's all about the decision-making process. It's not about being a man. I think being a man these days is very, very different and changing rapidly. And maybe at some point we can do another conversation about that, John, because I think that is in requirement of more attention and more time.
Yes.
But ultimately, that whole concept of what pushes us forward is the way that you think about you. And actually, when getting to that position of being honest with yourself, if I take myself and people say to me, are you good at what you do? I don't have any hesitation and saying, and this is heartfelt, I'm really, really, really good at what I do. I don't know why. You know, maybe it's through all of the things that have gone through my head, whether it's gold, the things that I've gone through physically. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm absolutely amazing at what I do. And actually finding yourself saying that without going, oh no, no, it's not me. You know, well, that wouldn't happen to me, or don't stop it. No, no, no. Actually, I'm taking myself serious, and I'm actually not coming from that ego point, and I'm not even coming from any. I'm just being very honest. Am I good at what I do? Yes, I am. And that's what people. I don't say that in that. Hey, am I good? No, no. I'm just being honest, and that's what people really have difficulty with, about being able to look at themselves in the mirror and say, so, okay, what are you bringing to the table? You know, and when I say to people, you know, I think you're amazing. These don't be daft. You know, I dealt with a guy, a 15-year-old guy with cerebral palsy, and he was referred to me because he had suicidal thoughts. He was being bullied within the mainstream school. Shocking to even think it, really. It really is. But, you know, that's when we're 14, 15, 16. That's the kind of shit that we get up to, my friend. But, you know, one of the things that we got him to do was to do a poem. And it was amazing, amazing, because he'd gone from, and he got a lot of stuff inside him. And at 15 years old, made the decision, can't do this anymore. You know, he can foresee anything in front of him except for, in his words, rocking backwards and forwards in a little room somewhere for the rest of my life. He says, don't want that. Don't want that. He says, I know I can't go kick a ball around. I know, but I can't be doing this. And he got a lot of things inside of him that he wanted to say to the world. And long story short, he did a poem, which we put music to, filmed and edited, and it went worldwide. And, you know, and this guy was truly amazed of how quickly you can go from lying to yourself, because that's in theory what it is. And I don't want to put that out there as a negative thing, you know, because I talk a lot about people playing the game, because this is the game of life. And people don't like the idea it's a game. I talk about managing your life, and people say, I don't want to manage my life. But greatest of respect, and particular with this period of change that the planet is going through, this is a real opportunity for people to say, okay, with this restart, things are going to change for me. And a lot of the thoughts that need to go into there is just start to describe yourself more into the terminology and the words that you use that describe the good bit about you. The thoughts that you have, which you have some control of, enable all of the really positive thoughts about what you want to do with your business, what is the business you want to set up, what do you want to do with this, and allow instead of the internal conversations being negative and say kick his head in, it's about just see past what's happening right here. You know, you've said it all yourself, my friend, and I think that the biggest thing is and men particularly, we are getting really good, really good at saying, this is me. This is me. You know, I'm not putting any airs and grace on. I'm not trying to pretend that I know something that I don't know. But this is me. More and more people generally, you know, I have quite a fair balance of males and females, if I'm being honest with you, that are really happy to say, I want to be happy. And simple. You know, if anybody, you know, I don't sell Beyond the Mask, because, you know, like I say, you've got to be ready, and you really do have to be ready. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But at the point of where, you know, no, actually, I just want to be happy. And I mean, really happy, not content, happy.
And you would do that by sort of, like you say, sort of defining that authentic self. And we had a conversation the other day, and it was great when we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and effectively what you want to be doing is flipping that round and starting with that authentic self, because then everything has meaning. If you aren't answering the big questions for yourself beforehand, then what's the damn point? You're you're a hamster in a wheel, and that's that. It's like there's no meaning, there's no purpose. So you need to define that first, and then even the basics in life, you know, can take on a more sort of Zen quality because the steps in the path.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think what happens, or what is happening, are people are really open to the, you know, the possibility of having these types of conversations, whether you're coming from a martial art point of view, a musician point of view, a police officer's point of view, a doctor's point of view, a young person's point of view, being able to sort of talk about me. You know, it's something that we've all been told. Stop being selfish. Don't talk about yourself. Don't do. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Stop showing off. No. I want to show off. I want to be humble with it. You know, I don't want to be one of these kids that skip down the road saying, "Look at me, look at me." But I do want to say, actually, I want to see how good I can be. I want to see how good I can be. You know, one of the, when I was asking you about thinking of one of the most amazing times that you thought about, what jumped into my head was with Will again. You know, but some great adventures with Will. But Will as a music producer and has that ability to get communities and people to come together. He did this big thing called Spectrums of Sound, and he'd asked the first year this quite local famous BBC radio presenter to present, you know, and be the man up front. And then I think it was the second year, and he said, because he used to call me Right Said Nigel. He said I look like Right Said Bloody Fred. Yeah, little duck. Anyway, he said, listen, buddy, he said, will you be the compare for this? And, you know, and then there's about 1,500 people from right the way across the city that he'd worked with, brought together. And I'd went and I visited these groups and saw what they were doing and spoke to them. And then, you know, my job was to really get everybody into the mindset of, wow, look at what we've done. And the young people came on and they presented different, they sang and so on and so on. For me, what an amazing opportunity for me to go on and see how good I can be. I still have that now, because I really do want to see how good I can be, and why not?
Why not?
And for those, you know, and it may be for some people, that because these conversations aren't easy. Let's not pretend that both me and you, we've had to shovel quite a bit of stuff in our time to get to this point.
I'm speaking to you like years of experience and like 15 years of therapy and medication and God knows what I've been through. It's It's like the martial arts. It's like I go out there now and I'll just like fire stuff off and it looks easy. It's the 30 years of graft, 30 years plus of graft that have put me here. So I hear you.
Yeah. And I think that ultimately, John, it's about people really, and again, coming back to the COVID-19 thing, it's like we are going to be not just opening up our front doors more, we're going to be opening up boundaries and going to be able to go off to different places in the world soon. And that will come back. It's a great opportunity and the reason it's a great opportunity for people to go through change is because everybody's expecting it. One of the biggest restrictions of changing our lives is that nobody's expecting it. Everybody expects you to stay as you are, in your house, with your car, with your this, with the that. And again, please, let's make sure that what people know what we're not saying. We're not sitting here and saying everybody's living a rubbish life. Far from it. Far from it. But this is about saying, okay, and I don't know whether this is right or wrong, John, but I know the kinds of people that I want to work with. And I don't want to be working with thousands at a time. We want to change people. And I'm going to nick somebody else that you should really consider interviewing as a lady called Helen Nocento. but she's changing, you know, one person at a time. And that's exactly what we want to do with Beyond the Mask, you know. But those people have got to be ready, and serious about what it is. A bit like the place where you are. That's, you know, it's like, no, this is it. This is it. This is what I'm doing, and nothing's going to stop me.
That's it.
Do you know the?
I was
Do you
saying,
know
it only took me 2 near-death experiences to wake up to that point. I mean, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, I remember you tell me that, you know, and I did sort of laugh and say that you thought you'd have picked up on what they were saying on the first one, but hey ho, sometimes it's yeah, yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. And I'll tell you what, part of it is, and it's great that you share your story, and it's great that people are more and more talking, because it gets everybody else to realize that they're not any different. We've all got our stories, you know, and it really does depend on what kind of mindset I'm in, or what circumstances I am, will how I share my story, you know. But it's also about being able to share your story and get it out instead of it's just in here. There's a worldwide magazine called One Tribe magazine.
Yes.
And One Tribe is it's full of people's stories, and it's and you definitely one tribe dot onetribemagazine.co.uk. It's free. You can go and have a look, and you've got inspirational stories from people all over the world, you know, going through and sharing what went on, what was the impact, how they dealt with it, and what's the difference, and now what they're doing. You know, it's a really good. It's good to be dropping in your inbox. It's a digital magazine.
Fantastic, yeah.
And again, somebody else, Kenny Ball from One Tribe Media. It'd be a great interview. You know, he shares this heart and passion all the way. You know, it'd be really good.
Oh, mate, that's fantastic. And I will just sort of conclude by saying once again that I think you and I are both on the same wavelength in that this stuff needs to be getting taught in schools. I'm talking education as to adrenaline, defining fear, you know, some internal work, some actual, like you say, giving people a chance to talk about themselves, you know, without being, honestly and objectively, without being labeled, to develop that sense of self, to develop those boundaries. And yeah, we might see a very, very different world if people actually started moving on this and doing it right and making it part of the course. And I mean, not just in this country, I mean, worldwide, that should be happening.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that, you know, the really good stuff, and it really is exciting, and this is testament to it, is that more and more people are saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, you know, I'm taking me serious. And it's like and again, we'll have the conversation at a later date about letting the boy die and allowing the man to live, you know, but we are seeing, you know, people generally taking themselves to the point of where they say, I really want to be out there being me, rather than being this soap star replacement. I don't want to be told what it is I'm saying or told what it is I'm doing. And it's not about becoming a rebel. And I say it's not about sort of throwing everything up in the air and saying, duck it. Not at all. It's all about being able to sort of say, I want to be the best version of me yet. I don't think I've been the best. Say again, sorry?
Was it the Oscar Wilde one? Be yourself, everybody else is taken. I love that one. It's
Absolutely.
About right, it's good.
Absolutely. And you know, and there's something about it that how exciting. I love when you know, because this is something that I do all the time. I'm talking all the time with a variety of different people about different things, and it's about me. It's not about them. This is about me, because this is important. I want to get it right, not just for me, but for everybody else. Because I tell you what, the moment that you do walk with those authentic footsteps, of course, stuff still gets thrown at you. And I will tell you the story tomorrow, what happened today. And you know, and that'll be interesting. But you'll still get everything thrown at you. but it's okay, because there's no reactions, just responses, you know. And throughout life there'll be very happy times, and throughout life there'll be very sad times. It doesn't disable us, it doesn't stop us. We just have to be grateful that, like, say thank you for that, and we learn from it and we move forward.
The other point I'd always make is that, you know, self-help is universal help, because, you know, if you're in the plane and the oxygen masks come down, they say you put your mask on before you put your kid's mask on. Why? Because if you're unconscious, you're not helping anybody else. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's the same thing. If you're not in that, you know, in that place, coming from that place of authenticity where you are truly happy, then it is, you can ram it down and you can deny it as much as you want. But what you deny the most is what you are subconsciously going to be pushing out on the world all the time. And, you know, it leads to some very unhappy ripples going out. Whereas the other way around, if you are taking that time and you are, you know, being authentic, and you were saying about your friend changing one person at a time, well, that's massive, because it is, again, it's like the ripple effect in the water. You know, that one actualized, fulfilled, happy person is behaving a certain way, is giving out a certain, you know, energy without sounding too hippified, etc., creating an environment, creating a positive environment, and sort of it radiates out from them, and it has a knock-on effect, just as the opposite does.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, isn't it? You know what really fascinates me about the work that I do, is that after a short while of talking with somebody, and you're talking about creating that environment, the moment that you feel free to talk about these weird things that they used to be called, you know, and you know that you definitely got a mental health problem if you were saying I need help. You know, isn't it? It's lovely to have seen the depth of conversation and honesty within this, you know. And I really do hope people just take it on board and say, okay, I'll have some of this. You know, if this was about, if we'd come up with a brand new cake and it tasted gorgeous and it really was lovely, and you ate this cake and you lost weight instead of putting weight on, people would love it. That's exactly the same as what we're doing here. We are just creating an opportunity for you to sort of say, get it. You don't have to be in a bad place. You don't have to have poor mental health. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be getting divorced. This is just a case saying, right, this is me. This is my time. And the moment, and there are lots of people around, up and down the country, throughout the world, that are now sharing, you know, good stuff, good stuff, and people are really benefiting from being able to find somebody, you know, over in America. And I know sometimes we can sort of look at Americans, and I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, they're loud mouth and this, that, and the other." I've never really found it myself, if I'm being honest. But you know, yeah, it's strange, isn't it? How all of a sudden, you know, you hear these people saying these things, you're thinking, that's okay, not for me, but you know, they've always been okay for me. But one of the things that a lot of Americans have got something called a therapist, and they go to the therapist like we go to Aldi for our shopping. You know, it's a regular thing, because of the benefits of being able to not just talk about you, but to offload and to have somebody to say, is that true, John? And you say, actually, no, it's not. Thanks for that. You know, and I can have, throughout any 1 week, 5-minute conversations all the time. And those 5-minute conversations where people phone up and they say, yeah, but what about, and I say, so is it? I say, all right, yeah, cheers, thank you, back on it. And that's it. Whereas years ago, when they weren't having that intervention, something would come along that would trigger off the reaction, and before you know it, they're on the other side of it going, what happened then? And that's again where people turn around and start to blame everything. It wasn't me, it was them. But of course, we're always responsible. And if we can take that responsibility, then it's all cool.
No, absolutely.
John,
Absolutely, man.
you know, I really hope that we can. There is so much that we could go into, and so many different directions. And certainly for yourself, I think you've got a great story that you really need to go and be on this side of the camera and get somebody to interview you, because
Thank you.
it's an amazing story. And I know we've spoken prior to the interview tonight, and I've heard a bit more that we haven't spoke about on here. But and I know that you're happy to talk about it. So I would definitely say to you, get your story out there and let people just, you know, see what you've done, you know, and how you've battled some real tough stuff, and now in this position of where you want to go and impact on the world. I think it's amazing. I really think it's amazing.
Thank you very much. And I also found your own story like extremely inspirational, and a couple of, like I said, the parallels with the motor vehicle accidents being the wake up calls, or the second one in my case. But mate, it's been a fantastic interview. It's been a fantastic chat. We must speak again. We can't possibly encompass all of this in one interview. We've done some great stuff today. So for now, we will wrap that up, but we shall speak again soon. Just stay on after I'll wrap the recording up, and just stay on. So, Mr. Nigel Booth, thank you very, very much. Cheers, sir. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome, John. And yeah, we'll do it again real soon. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, mate.